Hello and welcome to Tailgate Talk Week 6, the indoor edition. We're under the Sun Journal Dome due to the inclement weather this week.
Yeah, the roof's not leaking. That's a good sign.
Cali Oaks or Indy Whitehouse. And we're talking about the big Class B schedule this week. I mean, some great matchups this week, no doubt about it. We'll start in Eastern A with Levitt traveling.
Or Eastern B.
Eastern B, I'm sorry. We just did
Mount Blue used to be in Eastern.
Yeah, that's where the confusion lies.
Maybe Levitt should be.
Levitt traveling up to Mount Blue. And the two highest scoring offenses in the state here at Cal. And so we're looking at a 14-13 result, aren't we?
Exactly. You know, I was thinking that earlier today, as all this talk about the offenses and all these weapons and all these points that these two teams score. This game, we know, will come down to defense in one form or another. It'll be a defensive touchdown. It'll be which team is able to shut those other weapons down. You know, you look at some statistical trends and look at the first 5 games, and if you had to give an edge to either team, I'd say you might give it to Levitt. I mean, it's hard because neither team is playing any spectacular high level of opponents.
Yeah, neither team has to play 4 quarters.
You know, Mount Blue had to play a half against Gardner before Alonzo Connor got hurt, but he kind of gashed them for over 100 yards in a quarter and a half. So you got to say, you know, now he is a special tailback. They also had trouble down in MDI stopping the run, but other times they've been a lights-out defense. Levitt, again, hasn't had to deal with many meaningful downs through 5 games. I think Hamden opening night was a good challenge for them. Waterville, I think we thought was going to be a challenge, and they just buried them in the first quarter, you know, right off the bat. So it's hard to really gauge those numbers and say, okay, such and such a team has allowed this number of points, and this team has allowed this many, so this team's the favorite. I don't think you can do that. I think offensively what I'm looking at in this game is both teams have all these weapons that we talk about all year long. But Levitt might have that just-in-case guy they can go back to every down in Jake Willett if it comes to that. If it's a close game, if it's adverse weather, they can kind of hand the ball to him and say, you know, go win it for us. Whereas Mount Blue maybe doesn't have that one guy they've relied on out of the backfield or have proven they can rely on. So maybe that's an edge in Levitt's category. I don't know. The thing you got to like about Mount Blue is just the different things they do to get Jordan Whitney's passing game going. The shovel passes have always been something that you have to look at when you play Mount Blue. So neither defense is going to have an easy week or a lot of restful nights, nor are the defensive coordinators.
One of the interesting things about this matchup, to me at least, is coming into the season, both teams we knew were loaded at the skill positions and had a lot of their experience on the defensive side coming back in the secondary. And a lot of the questions were about up front. They had a lot of turnover at the line. Do you see either team having an advantage at the line of scrimmage this week at this point in the season?
I don't know. I think from what I see about Levitt, what I've seen of Levitt and heard of Levitt from week 1 to week 5 is I like how their line is improved. I like the way that they're using their personnel and adapting and getting those guys to pull and do the things that you need to do to maybe overcome when you don't have great size. I think last year they were kind of exploited in that state title game by Mountain Valley, and I think they've done some things to kind of adapt to that and improve up front. Mount Blue, they were certainly impressive the way they pass blocked for Jordan Whitney the night I saw them. So I don't know if I see either team having a dramatic advantage there. And certainly the other thing you look at, special teams, and you look at coaching. Both these teams have great coaching staffs. Both these teams can score with on kick returns, on interception returns, on fumble returns. Another thing I think might be an undersold thing in this game is the kicking game, because there is no kicking game.
There's no kicking game.
These teams go for 2 every time they score, and how efficiently they do that may determine who wins and who loses.
Maybe a big difference, definitely. Mike Hathaway, he's been very frustrated with the Levitt kicking game lately, and he may just throw that out the window this week and go exclusively for 2 points. Other matchup, big matchup, kind of getting overlooked because of that Eastern B matchup, but in Western B, it's unbeaten Mountain Valley against unbeaten Wells. These were the 2 top teams rated going into the season, and now they're finally meeting on the field for the first time. And generally have pretty good games regardless of how highly rated those 2 teams are.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my last trip to Wells 2 years ago, and it wasn't a vintage Mountain Valley team, but I think they were expected to win that night. And they went out there against what was then a young Wells team and kind of got stunned in the first half and had to come back and win 27-20. They held on with an interception in the end zone at the end. Last year it turned around a little bit in the other direction. Mountain Valley won the Western Maine Class B championship at home in just a stifling defensive effort. I think this is another one of those games where both teams are capable of scoring a lot of points, but it's going to be potentially a low-scoring game. Wells, statistically, probably has the best defense in Western B. It's hard to compare because they've played different opponents, but I don't think the Mountain Valley defense, let's light the fire a little bit, is quite at the level of last year.
You'll hear about that later in the season.
And gosh, how could it be? I mean, you had Derlin and Cobras in that defense. I mean, there were just so many guys that could make a strip sack or an interception and turn the game, make a 14-point swing just like that. Certainly that Mountain Valley defense is still very, very good, and they are going to face a very, very good offense at Wells that has Paul McDonough and Louis DiTomaso. Wells has kind of leaned heavily on DiTomaso. They haven't had to throw the ball much. Mountain Valley hasn't had to throw the ball much because they've got Kyle Doogie and Matt Hosey in the backfield, and with that 1-2 punch that they always seem to have, they haven't had to do a lot to diversify their offense. So I think whichever team is able to strike through the air, whichever team is able to make that defensive play, get that turnover deep in the other team's territory, is probably going to come out on top in this 14-8 type game is what I see.
Other matchup in Western B has Spruce Mountain hosting Lake Region Lakers. Lakers off to an 0-5 start. Spruce Mountain turnaround 3-game losing streak last week with a nice win down to Gray New Gloucester. It's all about getting some momentum going and getting some more wins under their belt in the playoff push for Spruce Mountain now, right?
Yeah, I think we talk in the NFL about how you can go from the penthouse to the outhouse and vice versa so quickly, and I think it's true in high school football. Probably 10 days ago we were talking about things were in pretty dire straits up at Spruce Mountain, and now if you look at the schedule they played at the beginning of the year, 3 wins is going to get them into the playoffs more than likely. So this is a game where they win and get back to 3-3. They're probably in good shape. They've still got Marshwood and Freiburg on the schedule. They're building something good. They're getting a little confidence. They didn't set the world on fire at Gray New Gloucester last week. A lot of penalties from what I hear, and Bill Calden's still not nearly 100%. But if they get to 3-3 at home, get some confidence going down the stretch, anything's possible for the Phoenix. At least they could maybe scare somebody in the opening round of the playoffs.
And the final matchup in Western B involves Gray New Gloucester and Greeley, closest opponent geographically now for the Patriots. Could it be the closest opponent on the field for the Patriots?
Well, I think the Patriots certainly made some strides last week in that 26-12 loss against Spruce. The easy answer to your question is no. I think Greeley, since giving up half of Bill Calden's career rushing yards on opening night, they've won 4 in a row. Not to assume anything with this game, but Greeley certainly put together a nice winning streak after that very close loss on opening night to Spruce, and I think they're pretty much locked into the playoff picture at this point, and Gray just trying to build for the future.
All right, well, that'll do it for Week 6 of Tailgate Talk, Class B here from the Sun Journal Dome. Cali Oaks, Randy Whitehouse. We'll see you next week.